es la voz de LA. It's like una galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell a hater shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goals during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast made with love, always for all you LA Galaxy fans out there, wherever you may be, because, man, boy, do you guys ever need some love right now. Today's a special Wednesday episode of the pod ahead of this weekend's match. It's the 12th times the charm for the Galaxy, who are still looking for the first win of the season. And who better to get a win from than the last team you beat, as the Galaxy continue their Eastern road trip with the game against the New York Red Bulls on Saturday, May 10th, in a rematch of the 2024 MLS Cup. But this time, the world looks very different for both conference winners. We'll be joined by Andrew Barnikel, co-host of the Designated Players podcast, who will be here to break down all things New York Red Bulls for us. Who'll help us cover what has befallen the Red Bulls in New York's version of the MLS Cup curse, what has changed for the Eastern champs in terms of incomings and departures, who's been tasked with carrying this team this year, and how the Galaxy can take advantage of New York's weaknesses on Saturday. Plus, we'll look at a mistaken case of uncertainty, and all 3 DPs are injured and unavailable again. All that and more coming up on tonight's episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. And before we go any further, let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can find my written work at The Sporting Tribune and Extra Time Talk. The tag is right there on the screen at El Escudero de LA. You can find me there all the time, everywhere, pretty much on everything. And we have the co-host with the most. I want to send my commiserations to you, co-host. Because your team got knocked out of European competition today, but valiant effort. Semifinals is nothing to scoff at. Of course, I'm speaking about the one and only co-host with the most, el yerno guapo gitano perdido, Ananda Kirana.
Yeah, not a good day for me today, so I'm just gonna less said about that, the better. So I had to bust out this vintage jersey to remember the last time that we won a significant trophy. Of course. Just a little history lesson, but of course we have not won it was called the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and that was the last time that we won something. So that's how old that is. But yeah, so congratulations to, of course, PSG and Inter Milan. No English or Spanish team in the final, which is kind of interesting in the Champions League.
Yeah, crazy, right?
But that pretty crazy. Neither German team as well, Borussia Dortmund or Bayern Munich. So again, congratulations to all the fan bases of that, which is probably I don't know too many Inter or PSG fans, to be fair. But
actually, I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, there used to be a place here in Highland Park called the York.
Yes,
and it was kind of like a converted church that they made like a football house, and you can go there and watch like any kind of soccer, like talking like 3rd division Polish league, Chinese league, like any kind of league you think of, you can go there and watch. And there was a quite a rambunctious Inter Milan fan group here, so I know that there's a pretty big one here in Los Angeles. I just don't know where they be.
Yeah,
but
they're a massive team. Both Milan teams are massive. San Siro that's one of those fairy tale stadiums, man, that I still need to visit. It's just one of those cauldrons, one of the meccas of football. Just an amazing stadium. But fortunately or unfortunately, we have to talk about the LA Galaxy now, back to Major League Soccer, and deal with this team. Deal with this team that has completely flipped a U-turn this season compared to last season. And it's like 2023. It's like deja vu all over again, Papa, when we started this pod.
Hey, but at least we have a chill guest today, man.
Yeah, no, we met Andrew last season right before the MLS Cup final on Goals TV. Of course, guys, you can always check out any back catalog from all our episodes of Goal TV as well. But met him there, and so was really, really nice talking to him. Seemed very knowledgeable about the team. So excited to talk to him about his team because it's interesting. It's kind of like maybe on paper is, the Red Bulls look like a pretty decent team, decent start. They look like they started 500, but maybe if you read through the tea leaves and maybe if you go on X, you might find out that they are like the Galaxy, even though they are not winless. They are, like I said, they're about 500. So it'll be interesting to get his pulse on, he covers and sees the team and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to hear his take. But we need to win, Papa. We need to win pretty bad. So why don't we get through the announcements, get through the shout outs, and then we'll bring Andrew on to preview this match. Because like I said, it's 12th bite. As the title of this video said, it's the 12th bite at the apple, or in this case, at the Big Apple. So
yeah, well,
let's get through the pleasantries, and then
let's get through them. Well, y'all know what's good. Y'all know the best way to help this pod is to hit the subscribe button, hit that notification, hit that like, and tell all your loved ones about this as well. Be like, hey, we know this little podcast around the way. You might like it. And let them know and put them on and have them subscribe. And then they'll always know when we have amazing guests like Andrew coming up. Super chats are now available as well. If you have something to get off your chest, if you have something to say, if you have a question, something burning within you to get out, go ahead and hit that super chat. We're on the hunt for 6, signifying those 6 MLS Cups by the Galaxy. And of course, if you haven't checked them out yet, we do have those breakaway episodes of this pod. We have Los Galacticos episode 5 with Alex Ruiz, El Profe, and Ananda. And then, of course, we have my interview with Michele Giannone, and he gives us what he thinks is wrong with the Galaxy. Hopefully, we get to speak to him again soon. And yeah, let's get into some news items. Ananda, did you do stock? Did you do stock me yet?
Did I what? Not yet. So last little bits and bobs of the pleasantries. Of course, guys, you can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. That's both of our handles are there. You can find us on all of your favorite socials at Lacuna Galaxiana. And of course, like Rob said, you found us here on YouTube. So thank you again. And if you have not yet, because we know a third of you haven't, if you do like what you're listening to, go ahead and subscribe to this pod. And of course, papá, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes, o noches. Even when otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana, we need to stop doing these group therapy, sad foos hours. Like
it's not even group therapy yet. They haven't even lost yet.
That's what I'm saying. But we need to stop. We need to break that rhythm. So we need to find out here
just so used
what we
to it
can
already.
do. I'm just used to it, man. We need we need a kumbaya session now. We need a seance to get rid of the bad juju around this team. So let's hit the announcements and bring Andrew.
Look, man. There's a wise philosopher in Spanish philosophy named Celia Cruz, and she says, no hay que llorar, que la vida es un carnaval. So you know what?
That's a banger of a song.
That is a banger of a song. Anyway, let's get into some news. Galaxy is in the top 20 of the 50 most valuable soccer clubs in the world. Well, I loathe to call any MLS team a club because it's just simply not, but they are among the most valuable teams in the world, according to Sportico's Soccer's Valuations report. The Galaxy winds up at number 18 on this list. Their 2025 valuation is $1.11 billion. That is a lot of cheddar, baby. $110 million in revenue is what they brought in 2024. So, 2024 was a good year in more than one way. MLS has 5 of the top 20 and 19 of the top 50 most valuable soccer clubs in the world. No league in the world has more clubs in the top 50 than MLS. And the first one, Galaxy fans, don't cancel me. I'm just reporting the news here. Number 16, LAFC here, valued at $1.28 billion. Pretty impressive stuff by all these MLS clubs. When you check out that New York is number 20, and just directly behind them is a legacy institution club like West Ham in 21. So MLS, no matter what you think of Don Garber, is at least achieving the aim of making some people a lot of feria. So congratulations to all these clubs for stacking the chips. Some Galaxy news here regarding Greg Vanney. Kevin Baxter broke on Corner of the Galaxy. Shout out Josh, the Podfather. He broke some news about Vanney on the Vanney contract front. Everybody knows, or we've reported here. Several sources have reported that Greg Vanney is in the last year of his contract. He is in contract negotiations with the team. According to Kevin Baxter, the team and Ron Waxman, who is Vanney's agent, have made no progress on renewal. And of course, it doesn't help his negotiating leverage that the Galaxy is currently mired in a horrendous losing streak. My colleague, your colleague, and El Profe Alex Ruiz had a chance to talk to Greg about this today at media availability, and he basically asked him about his contract situation. And Vanney said, I don't know, maybe you know something I don't know. I'm just focusing on improving this team and the ways that we can get it out of our results. Some of it's day-to-day, some of it's longer term, but all these things are in discussion. When I say longer term, I'm talking about the pieces that we need to keep improving. There are short-term and long-term views on how we continue to build ourselves back into the championship team that we know we can become over time. That's all those things are in discussion every single day. So in terms of our uncertainty, I guess that's on your side. So Cheeseman, yes or no?
Well, it's uncertain, so it's gonna be rumbling about, and you guys.
No. I'm asking you if do you want Cheeseman? Cheeseman, yes or no?
Oh, do I want Cheeseman? Well, I always want Cheeseman. That's like a rhetorical question.
Dio Gregorio didn't like the question.
No, he didn't.
He this is as combative really as we see Greg and kind of like push backy. I always say that Greg is a super transparent and a wonderful interview and just easy to talk to. This is as bristly as we see Greg pushing back, and Alex followed up his original question with, do you have confidence that you'll be the man in charge of this project long term? And he responded to Alex with some shade. He just said, what I would say to you is, I know where the process is at, and you don't, blood. So keep anyway, so that's what's going on that front, man. Galaxy's still negotiating with Greg. Of course, we've heard a bunch of stuff about Greg's situation already. But of course, like he says, he knows where it's at, and we don't. So I guess we can continue to speculate, keep reporting what we hear. And of course, you can go ahead and catch a little bit more Greg news there in that Michele Giannone interview, who says he might be on his way to Toronto. But anyway, we'll talk more about that as we get news. The Club World Cup made news the other day because it finally made a ruling on whether Leon could participate. And in classic FIFA fashion, FIFA's going to FIFA, and Leon is out. Club America versus LAFC for the final spot in the Club World Cup is in. These two clubs are going to be playing in a one-off on Saturday, May 31st at BMO Stadium, which is effectively, Ananda, a $10 million match. Whoever makes it into this tournament is guaranteed an entry fee of $9.55 million, plus an additional $2 million per group stage win. This group that either one of these teams would be put in is not an impossible group, not impossible to get a win or two here. Of course, these two teams were chosen to contest this last spot because LAFC were runners-up to Leon in the 2023 CONCACAF Champions League, while Club America was the top in the coefficient rankings in the 4-year qualification cycle. One of those convoluted FIFA ranking cycles things again, Ananda. So, like I mentioned, this group is not impossible. Chelsea's a tough team in England, Flamengo from Brazil, NES Tunis. You know what? At least two of those matches are winnable. So, again, whoever takes this position is going to come up on a lot of money. So it'll be interesting to see who actually comes out on top in this one. EA Sports FC Mobile and the Galaxy have partnered to broadcast the next Galaxy match. EA Sports FC Mobile players will be able to watch the Galaxy's road match against the Red Bulls through the in-game FC TV portal. So basically, you can go ahead and watch this Galaxy L now on Apple TV or EA Sports FC. Awesome. This is made possible by live simulcast as MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. I think this is the first one of its kind, so I guess we're going to start seeing these things a little bit more often. But anyway, I mean, I just passed judgment. I was scolding you earlier for it, and now I'm doing it. But let's go ahead and give it an honest assessment, and not all woe is me. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and bring on our guest for the night. Please give a warm welcome, all my Cuneros, to 1/3 of the Designated Players podcast, a podcast covering all things MLS. Welcome to the show, Andrew Barnikel. Welcome.
Hey, y'all. How are you? Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here. Great pull on the picture, by the way. Me and Louise, that was awesome.
Yeah, man. I saw that when I was like, oh, he looks so happy there. Let's go ahead and get that one in there.
Love it.
First, let me say thank you for being here with us so late. I mean, I know where you're at. It's very, very late. So thank you for staying up and hanging out with us. Ananda mentioned that we've already been on a pod together. Last time we saw each other, these teams were on their way to MLS Cup. Things are very different right now. Are you shocked by where these MLS Cup finalists are?
First of all, what a fall from grace, right? I mean, man, we're out here, not even 5 months ago, and we're sitting here thinking that we're about to be some of us are about to be the top of the top, and now we're struggling even to get into playoff spots. Some of us struggling even to get wins, right? So, shocked. I don't know if I'd say shocked about the results based off of where we're at. I would say shocked about how we got here, and that's a whole nother conversation. But with the roster rules and being forced, at least in the LA Galaxy's sense, to move on from lots of players, that's a bit shocking to me, or maybe more frustrating. I don't know if I'd say shocked, but yeah, it's been quite the run. Very, very, but that's MLS for you, right? It's always, you're never going to know what's coming next.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you just said it. That's MLS for you. I mean, you can take that phrase and run with it a million different ways, some good and some bad. Before we go any further, though, go ahead and tell these fine folk out there where they can find you, where they can find the pod, basically where they can engage with you and get some of your good content.
Yeah, for sure. So we're on everywhere you get your podcast audio wise, but we're more active on social media, on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. But YouTube's kind of the big push that we're on right now. I think we're at 770, trying to push over to 1,000. Hopefully by the
get
end
them
of the
there,
year.
y'all.
Kind of that's our big goal there. But yeah, we're just loving it, having a good time. We're interacting with so many different people. It's really, really fun. So, but yeah, if you look up the Designated Players and MLS podcast anywhere on social media or things like that, you'll find us. We're an MLS general pod, but anytime I get to talk about Red Bull, that's for me. But yeah, we're an MLS general. We do MLS present day stuff. So we've talked about the Club World Cup stuff that you were mentioning a lot. We've talked about some of the rumors, signings, things like that. And then we also do a series called MLS History Retold, where we do fan selected history stories. We go back and retell those stories
that's
from
awesome.
our point of view. It's a lot of fun. We really, really enjoy those because you get to learn a little bit of something that you just didn't know before, right? I mean, we're covering goals and games we haven't seen happen, some crazy MLS moments that don't get covered by the general mainstream. Just, oh yeah, remember when Zlatan scored that goal against LAFC? Like, yes, we all do, but there are some that most people haven't, right? So it's a lot of good fun. So if you're into that sort of stuff, come on over and say hi.
Hey, your what is it called? This, like the history. The history of
MLS History Retold. Yeah, that's our series there.
Oh man, I love it. I mean, ask Ananda. I'm a huge history buff, and just the concept is wonderful. The only way I think it could be better is if, like, you're just hanging out and telling those stories with a little glass of your favorite bourbon right next to you. So but maybe that's on MLS After Dark here. But anyway, you told us a little bit about the pod already, but tell us how it got started. I mean, what was the inspiration? I mean, me and Ananda, we just basically got pushed into it because our wives got tired of hearing us talk over wings all the time. So what was your guys's moment where you guys are like, hey, we should start something up?
Yeah, so we had actually kind of the group of us had all kind of just finished school, and we're in this kind of weird lull period right around the COVID start period where we're kind of like, we don't know if we're going to get jobs, we don't know if this thing is going to shut down the world, we don't really know. So let's just sit in our basement, record ourselves talking about something that we talk about all the time anyway, and it just became a kind of passion project for us. So myself, Connor, and a buddy of ours, Adam, who no longer does the show with us, unfortunately, but we just sat there chatting, and when COVID hit, it was really unique because we got to do interviews and different sort of concepts, Mount Rushmores and top 10 players of all time and things like that, which we just had a lot of fun with. And then when it started kicking back on, we just started rolling with it, finding what we enjoyed doing, and finding our kind of niche. And then we just kind of do it again just for like a passion project. It's something that keeps us busy. And Connor and I we're running what I think we just posted episode 352 over the last 5 years. So I mean, we just have a lot of fun with it. We've evolved into a whole bunch of different things, but at the end of the day, it kind of just like you all is we just enjoy talking about the league and watching soccer, talking soccer, and that's kind of how it started and how it's evolved and where we're at now, and we have a lot of fun with it, and that's kind of where we're at.
You kept on mentioning your mate Connor, and I don't know why I just kept thinking of John Connor from Terminator 2, and I was like just thinking, like, if you bug him with like John Connor, But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about this Red Bulls team now. Yeah, see Ananda shaking his head. He's like, this guy. Anyway, so that's what Ananda has to deal with all the time. Just so you know. But
can't imagine 352 episodes with you, Baba. But anyways, we
I mean,
I can't imagine it.
We're coming up on 200.
That's right.
So
yeah.
I mean, we're not at 355, but I mean,
keep it locked with us, guys. We're planning something real special for 200. That's for dang sure.
That's for damn sure. You guys were like 200. Honestly, when we were at 1, we didn't think that we would get to 100, and then when we hit 100, we were like, well, no one's canceled us yet, so I guess we'll keep going. Yeah. So anyway, we already touched on it a little bit, and how these teams are so different this year than they were last year. The vibe, just even the way they play is different. What's different with the Red Bulls team this year?
Yeah, so the big thing, at least from my point of view, and it depends on kind of who you ask, I think, but for me, it's a team that's kind of reestablishing its identity. So what I mean by that is, Red Bull teams were defined by high press, high counter attack, get the ball high, win it high, be really, really ugly, right? Make the game ugly, enjoy being uncomfortable, and capitalize on those moments. And at this point, we are under Sandro Schwarz, and he is really focused on being a team that likes to play with the ball and likes to play in less in transition, more in possession, and it's growing pains, right? So we look decent in our own, attacking in our own third. We look okay playing through the midfield, and at moments we look really, really good playing in the attacking third, right? You see these combination plays off of Emil Forsberg, off of Choupo-Moting, off of some of these players, but what we're really lacking is that finishing pattern, right? So we have these little moments of play where we look really, really good, and then we don't have the finishing product, right? Missing Lewis Morgan hurts us a lot in that area. But I think the biggest thing for us is we are trying to play through the lines with some quality players, but we don't have the speed in behind to finish it, which is tough for us. But I do think we're still defensively sound, which is good, which is why we kind of are looking okay. But the big thing for us is we're just trying to really finish that final move. We're putting the pieces together, if you will.
I was going to ask you about that because you just kind of mentioned it. You don't have that speed to get in behind, and so when that breaks down, right, and the team is a little bit more advanced, and you mentioned that Lewis Morgan's not there. Emil Forsberg isn't the fastest, right? But when you guys lose the ball high up the field, how does this team work in transition? Is it able to go ahead and fix those moments and get back in transition, or has it been struggling? Because in Galaxylandia, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, so for when I watch the games, I notice that it's not as it doesn't feel as cohesive as it did in the past because it's not as major a part of the identity of the team. But you have players like Peter Stroud, for example, who's just an engine in the midfield who will be the first press into the midfield. You've got Omar Valencia on the outside, who's very, very quick in closing that space down. But then you've got other players who might be a little bit slower to recognize the moments of pressing and transitioning and closing that space that allow gaps for other teams to play through. And then you're leaving it to a back line of players like Noah Isla, Tim Parker, Alexander Hackshaw, Nealis. And these guys are great, solid, strong defenders. They aren't great in behind. So even if we do transition and press that ball high and prevent them from playing through one deep ball over the top, and a lot of times you're like, we're either really going to, be okay with that winning it in the air, but if we miss it, we're in trouble. So that's kind of where our low lights have been in the moments where we are relying on speed in behind theirs or in behind us.
Yeah, Andrew, Rob talked to you about or asked you about just sort of the difference between the Red Bulls team this year and last year. I mean, now if you look at the personnel, what do you think in terms of the difference in personnel, right? And in particular, the guys who've left. I know there's one guy in particular that that probably was a big part of your team the last year or so that left to greener pastures overseas, and then had a couple interesting additions. So who's well, I'm gonna let Andrew answer, but see if we're guessing the right person. But who do you think has been the biggest departure and I guess the biggest addition to your roster this year?
Sure, yeah. So departure wise, right? You're one of the players that you first think of as John Tolkien in the left back role, right? So a player who a player who you so it was very weird with John Tolkien. John Tolkien to me never stood out as a consistent player who I look at and like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna go. Right. When he was 18, 19, you're like, oh, you can see the potential there. You can understand why there's hype. But as he grew on, I don't want to be mean about this because he's a good guy and he did well for us, but his tactical and technical ability was a little bit, it left a little bit to be desired for me personally. And he relied a lot on his athleticism to do the job. Now he got a move to a relegation threatened Bundesliga side, and great, good for him. Like, if that's where he wants to be, that's where he wants to be. And it opened up a spot for Omar Valencia, who in week one, I was like, feels very John Tolkien-esque, right? Very athletic, but very, very raw. But he's come into his own very, very well, really happy with his style of play. And John Tolkien it was almost like there's time for him to go on, right? In terms of additions, this is we haven't seen a lot of our brand new additions, right? Omar Valencia, I think, just to fill in that role, he calling him an addition is maybe a stretch because he was in our development system, but he's been such a good addition for us this year. And then you've got, of course, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, who is leading our team in goals, though I believe 60% of them are penalties, if I remember those numbers correctly. But what you notice with him is
still got to score him though.
That's right. They have to go in the goal. That is true.
Count the same. Yep.
That's right. The one thing I notice out of him is really, really good hold up play and the desire to play with Emil Forsberg quickly, right? So, you can see that they're trying to play it into him. He's very, very good holding up the ball. And you can, every once in a while he can also make something happen on his own, right? So he can turn a player on his own, go at players from wide areas. It's an interesting dynamic I don't think we've seen before with this team, right? With the players like Patrick Klimala, with the players like Dante Vanzier, with the players that we brought in who were designated player by price tag, but not necessarily by quality. He definitely brings in a level where you're like, okay, you can tell why, he's been where he's been. So he's been solid for us as well. Again, still missing that kind of last moment, but it's not necessarily on him as much as it is on the pass before it gets to him, right? He'll hold the ball up, get it to Emil. Emil will get it in behind to insert player here, and then we don't have that finishing pass to him. Now, when we do, he's been finishing his chances well. Some people might ask for it at a bit higher of a clip, but beggars can't be choosers, right? So,
Andrew, we're a quarter through the season. I mean, if you were to ask me right now if I believe the Galaxy will be making the postseason, I would say no. However, we're going to put you on the spot now that we are a quarter through the season. Red Bulls are in 10th place at the moment. Do you think they're a playoff team?
Yes. I'm going to say yes. I don't know if I would say they are going to be a top playoff team, right? But if you look at that graphic there, right, I don't think that they're better than Columbus. Philly has shocked me, but I do think at the moment they're better than Philly, even though they're playing Red Bull football. Not better than Cincy, not better than Miami, not better than Charlotte. You get into the Nashville, New York City, Orlando conversation, and New England. That's kind of where I see them. But I don't think that they are any worse than the Chicago's, DC's, Toronto, Montreal. So, again, missing Lewis Morgan has been such a huge part of this team that has been so influential into the way that we play because he was that release valve, right? It went from Choupo-Moting into Forsberg, then in behind to Lewis Morgan, right? That was always kind of the pattern of play that worked really well. And then he had the technical ability to create something out of that. Without him, you can definitely feel that there's been a hole in this team. And I think when he gets back, which I believe he's hitting the grass within the week on the training pitch, I think that is a change that you see Red Bull start to climb the table a little bit.
Yeah, I think Matt Doyle wrote an article recently on MLSsoccer.com. He put you guys in tier 3, so out of 5, the wide middle, he called it. So mid-table. That's pretty accurate with your assessment there. Where's the Galaxy? We are just beyond bad. So tier 5.
Well, yeah, let's look at
rebuilding or rebuild. That's what he called it. Rebuild.
Ooh, and the rebuild should have been last year. So anyway, let's look at where the Galaxy are in these standings after 11 matches. Yeah, I mean that's why we're here, really. I mean, we're trying to communicate to these good people where everything stands at the moment. And the Galaxy have a 0-8-3 record. 8 goals for, 21 against, 3 points, 0.27 points per game, -13 goal differential. These lads haven't kept a clean sheet in 6 matches. They are in 15th and last place, still the only team not to win a game in the Western Conference. One of 2 teams in the entire league not to win a game. However, they are dead last in the league in the Sports Shield race because of goal differential, and they are now tied for worst start in league history. Yay! So let's look at where the New York Red Bulls are at. After 11 matches played, a 4.43 record, 15 points, 1.36 points per game, -1 goal differential. 10th in the Eastern Conference. Their last MLS match was a 4-1 loss to Miami. They have just 2 wins in the last 6 games. They have scored 7 goals in the last 5 matches. Their last match, however, was a 4-1 demolition of Colorado Springs Switchbacks in the round of 32 of the U.S. Open Cup. Mohamed Sofa scored a first-half brace for New York. You're going to have to help me with this one, Andrew. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this one right. Dennis Jengar?
Yeah, Jengor. Yeah. It's a Norwegian, I think.
Ooh, I'm learning Norwegian now. Nice. You see that, Ananda? I'm learning how to read Norwegian. Wow. And Sean Nealis also got on the score sheet in the win. Now Red Bull advances to the round of 16. Andrew, this was obviously a midweek match. That puts strains on resources and stuff like that. How did it affect preparations for LA's visit this week? Was it a rotated side? What did you see out of the way this game was approached?
Yeah, no. So what was interesting, and they brought it up on the broadcast as well during the game, was that the group only saw the start of Victor Bogas, who is one of our newer signings, and he was the only person who started that game who had not started an MLS game prior. So every single person in that group has started an MLS game to this season, and you could tell they were kind of clicking in the transition moment. So it was a rainy day in Colorado. The Red Bulls did not they didn't look to keep the ball a lot. It was a lot of long ball. It was a lot of see if you can win the knockdown, because they were playing on a plastic pitch, if you will, on the turf there, and they didn't. I don't know if they didn't trust themselves in the moment or what have you, but Mohamed Sofo, who you have in this image here, I think is the player to watch for. I called him out from day one. But for this upcoming game, I'm hoping that he is still going to get his run out, because when you talk about the team not having enough speed getting in behind, he is the exception to that. This dude is rapid, and he is a honey badger, if you will, right? One of those guys does not give up, right?
Ooh,
Every time the ball
honey
gets played
badger.
in, he just fights and fights and fights, and he tries to win that ball. And even like his first goal that he scored, the ball gets played over the top in Colorado, and it looks like any other player would just let the guy have it, and they play back to the goalkeeper, reset, and go. But he times the ball on like the half bounce, gives the guy a little nudge, picks up the ball, beats him on the dribble, and tucks it in behind. And it's like that's the fight that we miss out of these sorts of players. So I really have enjoyed his game so far this season, and I believe that he is one of the players that you almost need to put down in pen so long as he's healthy. To be a part of this team, because he is just he's a breath of fresh air to a team that has had this big attacking struggle for the last month and a half or so.
That sounds so nice, Ananda. I want that breath of fresh air too. I want that. I mean, Lord, I see what you've done for others. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this match proper. This is the MLS Cup 2024 rematch, and it is also Noche Latina at Sports Illustrated Stadium. I don't even know what that means or what's going to be going on, but apparently it's Noche Latina. So Ananda, I don't know, are we going to be partying for Noche Latina at the stadium? Who knows? But Saturday marks the Saturday marks the 53rd meeting across all competitions between these two teams. The Galaxy leads the all-time series 22, 21, and 9 against the Red Bulls. The Galaxy holds an 18, 20, and 8 record in league play. And in the most recent meeting, of course, it was that 2-1 win to bring the Galaxy that 6th MLS Cup, that accursed thing. The last league meeting between the teams was a 3-2 Galaxy win at home on April 25th, 2021. And 24 all-time league matches played on the road against the Red Bull. LA holds an 8, 13, and 3 record. And in the last match played at Sports Illustrated Stadium, I don't even think it was Sports Illustrated Stadium yet. The Galaxy fell 3-2 to New York on May 4th, 2019. Ananda, bit of trivia for you. I was actually at that match. That was the match that I went to in New York. And yes, I traveled all the way there just to see the Galaxy catch the L. Hopefully that is not the case this time for us, Ananda. Let's look at a little bit of Galaxy team news today in the press conference. Of course, this is not updated. Today in the press conference, Greg Vanney did let us know that Joseph Paintsil is out for 10 days and won't play again on this road trip. Gabriel Pec is day-to-day. He could return versus Philly, but he's virtually ruled out for New York Red Bulls. So no DPs for this match. Andrew, on the Red Bull front, I saw that Daniel Edelman and Daniel Nealis made the return against Switchback. So who's left? I mean, is this accurate now? Harper, Morgan, Morales, and Ngoma?
Yeah, so if I might need to be corrected here, but I think it was Cam Harper who made the return. I think Dylan Nealis is going to be out for a little bit longer. He may make himself back a little bit. From what I've been told, or what I've heard, is that hamstring is going to keep him out a couple more weeks. But Cam Harper did get his return a couple of matches ago, and he started 2 weeks ago, I think, or maybe 2 games ago. I mean, but he has been another breath of fresh air because he plays if we play with 3 at the back, he plays as a right wing back, or if we play with 4 in the back, sometimes he'll play as a right back or as a right wing. But he's another one that has that little bit of explosiveness about him that's been really, really helpful for us. So I would believe that he's back. I know Daniel Edelman's back. And I think the last 4, unfortunately, are still out. Marcelo Morales, of course, is another one of our new signings. He was supposed to compete with Omar Valencia on the left back role, and has not yet gotten anywhere near the first team. So it's been disappointing in that sense as well. So,
well, I have good news for you, because Nealis is back. Played 16
Wonderful.
minutes. Yeah, he played
16
minutes in this last match. So he flew under the radar because he didn't get a lot of time. But I mean, this is probably a wonderful thing to hear if you're a Red Bull fan, because that just means you have another option. While the Galaxy have no wingers and no DPs.
Perfect.
What is yay? So what does that do to lineup, guys? Andrew, take me through who you might see in the starting lineup for New York.
Yeah, so this is pretty close to what you would see for a Red Bull lineup. So Noah Isla in the back is one of my favorite players from the year. So a ball playing center back who has significantly upped his defensive game. So last year he was very, very raw, great on the ball. But you could tell that he had his defensive struggles. He was 20 at the time, 21 maybe. And I mean, I was at a game at Red Bull Arena. I will not call it Sports Illustrated Stadium. I'm sorry. I was at a game at Red Bull Arena where the ball got played in behind. And instead of using his head to clear the ball or letting it go over and run, he just put his hand up and swatted it down, and like blocking a shot in basketball, and was of course sent off for it. He has been a fantastic defender so far, and has been really, really strong on the ball as well. You'll see him if you watch those highlights back from Switchbacks, which I'll put my hand up. I only made it to halftime at that point. That was a late game for me. He carried the ball forward a lot. He was a right center back in a back 3, and he carried the ball forward a ton, getting into the midfield and playing balls in behind really, really efficiently, which was nice. The other player that I think you might see a rotation about is Kyle Duncan at the right back spot. So a guy coming off of an ACL injury, has just made his first couple of starts back. He looked really good in his first one. He looked okay in his second one. But with Cameron Harper, with Dylan Nealis as well, you might see a rotation just for health reasons there. And then the last one would be Vicky Cremona on the left wing spot there. So a player who is okay. He just doesn't really explode off the page as somebody you're like, yeah, has to be in every week. A young Venezuelan kid who has buckets of potential and a wicked left foot, but just has not put it all together yet to be an out and out starter. So you might see Dennis Yangor over there. You might see Cam Harper play on that side. You might see Mohamed Sofa switch over to that side, and either one of those two play over there. There's a whole kind of rotation over there that we haven't quite seen yet. Lockdown going forward.
Anandita Kirana, Dinos El Galaxy.
Oh, really quick. Let's shout out the super chat real quick by Adam. Adam says $5 super. Thanks, Adam. How's the atmosphere at Red Bull Arena for opposing supporters?
Ooh, I had a good time. I mean, it was way back in 2019, but
yeah,
I remember everyone being nice. I mean, Andrew could probably speak to that a little bit better because he's probably there more frequently than we are.
Yeah, so it's Red Bull fans, so long as you're not DC or New York City, really welcoming to most most people coming over, especially if you're from far away and it's your, you don't make a lot, you're not going to get to see this trip very often. Super welcoming, very nice. You guys are likely going to be sat above the goal in the second tier, which is actually 2 or 3 sections away from where I usually sit when I'm over there. So you get a great view. It is a beautiful stadium. I mean, one of the best in the league, and it's not.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm biased here, but it's not particularly close. I love going to Red Bull Arena. I think it's such a wonderful view stadium. There's not a bad seat in the house, and I think if you're going, you're going to enjoy it for sure.
Ananda, just before you get to this lineup here, Christopher asks anywhere in the possible reinforcements in our midfield. I did ask Greg about this in today's presser, and it was an answer, but it was kind of like a party line answer, like we're always looking for reinforcements and always looking to reinforce this team. What I did kind of find interesting was or striking was that he was on the same page as Will Kuntz when we had him on, that talking about not only looking at the next window, but several windows ahead of time. So if again, we were talking about the whole Vanney contract situation earlier, he's talking about, he talks as if, he will be the guy there long term to see out this project, because he says we are looking at the window long term. We are looking at these players to scout, so
I don't know. Two things that popped in my head to my mind when you're saying that. One is, I think it's a very fluid situation, man. I think things can turn on a dime very quickly, especially in this business. And again, as I told you, there's a lot of long-term, I think, implications and decisions that are going to be fluid based off of the nature of just the team performances, right? And results, more importantly, at this point. If this is going to be a lost season, if we know that it's going to be lost season earlier than normal. And the second thing I thought about too, man, was I mean, it's interesting that Greg I heard those comments. I think you're right. I think it's the first time this year that he has been sort of pressed or been criticized in that fashion. But I think those are fair questions. So, fair game to Alex and you and everyone for asking them. But in terms of the reinforcements, what's interesting is, I think this year, and it's funny that Matthew Doyle in his article said that this is a tier 5 is like rebuilding its foundation. But if you think of where the Galaxy are, we kind of had to hit the reset button in a way, because if you think about our U22s, almost all of them timed out, right? The only one that was left was Julian Aude. Dejan Jovic was timing out of his U22s. He had to refill that spot in some level. Now, we didn't refill it. Well, actually, we did with Nascimento and a loan signing. But again, he's a project player at this point. We don't know his potential. So in a way, we are kind of rebuilding, Rob. So in a way, I think it is okay to take that long-term vision or that long-term lens, because we are kind of we have had to hit the reset button by default based off of MLS salary cap rules, right? Which is, I think, what Will Kuntz attempted to do over the summer. Now, of course, hindsight's always 2020, and it hasn't worked out great. But I think that was the attempt. And of course, but there's always going to be criticism, like, for example, the decision to keep Diego Fagundes over Mark Delgado, right? Which is something that Kevin
I can't believe we skipped over that earlier. Yeah.
That was a huge decision. And I think that's something that Kevin Baxter sort of illuminated on Corner of the Galaxy yesterday, and then in his article as well. So anyways, as you were talking about sort of those future decisions roster wise, I think that sort of popped into my head, and we're kind of in a rebuild, whether we like it or not, whether we call it a rebuild or, revisiting the process or
a refresh
process. Yeah. I think we are in that situation. But in terms of the lineup, man, in terms of the lineup, look, I think it's going to be interesting, because what do we do without our DP wingers, right? Like, what do we do in those positions?
I'll do it
in a weird sign you up to a 10-day contract, Rob, or whatever they have in MLS.
I always say, man, I'll do it for 5 pupusas a game. Like you can get like a good 7 or 8 minutes out of me. I mean, I'm not the quickest, but hey, I got some vision, I promise.
Well, look, I think this might be, again, maybe I'm overly like glass half full about this, but this might be a good thing, or this might be a sort of a illuminating moment maybe for Vanney to figure something out. Because again, what have we said on this podcast? Like, it's like you're doing the same thing and it's not working, right? It's insanity, right? So maybe this is the excuse that Vanney needs to try something. You know, he could do a lot of things, man. He could. Obviously, you've got Royce and Fagundes that can maybe play those wing positions. I mean, why not throw Nacimiento in there? See what he's got, right? We haven't given him a shot. You're investing a lot on a U22 spots. As I said, U22 spots are very valuable in this league. And you spend a lot of at least time and resources on this guy, you know, put him in there. Like, let's let him show the fans what he has. Put Sanabria in there as well. You spent $5 million on this guy. By the way, Anders Dreyer was signed for $5.5 million as a winger, and he's probably one of the best wingers, if not in the Western Conference, in the whole league right now, right? So it just kind of puts those two things in perspectives. Yes, they play different positions, but play those guys out, man. Maybe try a two-striker formation up there with Christian Ramirez and Nacimiento, have them play off each other. And, you know, put in a guy that has a sweet delivery like a Mo Cuevas on the right hand side. I think Greg can tinker with some things here, because again, there's very little left to lose. He's got nothing to lose, and he's got to find a winning formula somewhere. He's got to find the unlock somewhere, because right now, even, you know, Kansas City forced us wide in the last game, but unfortunately, we just couldn't get a clean look. Even, you know, picking up sort of goalkeeper scraps or loose balls in the box, we couldn't pick those up. So maybe you throw another guy up there as another forward to get those second balls, right? To win those second balls, to win the second action if you can't finish the first action. And sometimes that's all you need. You just need like a sloppy goal, a little tap in, a little present here and there, and the confidence starts flowing. So we'll see what Greg does then. But I think maybe a blessing in disguise that he has to tinker with his lineup and find a winning formula, at least chess pieces that work together.
We got another super chat from Adam. This one, Andrew, how has Red Bull's goalie Coronel been this season?
So you guys saw my picture with Luis. Luis Robles is the greatest goalkeeper in Red Bull history. I would put an argument in there that maybe he's a top 5 goalkeeper in MLS all time. He is easily my favorite player of all time. Carlos Coronel is making a very good case to be number 2, and very close behind it. He has been on. I mean, when you talk about like goalkeepers standing on their heads, this dude has been out of his mind. I mean, some of the saves he pulls out is just not like we should not have some of the points that we have had it not been for Carlos Coronel. He is a fantastic shot stopper. He's done really, really well commanding his box on aerial balls. He's been, you know, from 2 years ago where he was letting in goals that were going right under his hands, and we're like, who is this guy? Like, why is he still here? We need to move on from him, to now being a guy that we cannot go without. He has been unbelievable. So really, really happy with his progression. I think if things go south, he will bail us out. He's a great goalkeeper. He's super strong. He's in the conversation right now for maybe a top 5 goalkeeper in MLS, right? In my opinion.
He plays for his national team, correct?
So he's a Paraguayan national after transitioning from Brazil. He got called in to be the starter. He was a starter and now has lost his spot. So he gets called in as the number 2, has been fighting to get back to that spot. I don't know how successful that's been. I don't keep up with the Paraguayan team as much as I probably should, but you know, he has the quality to be there. If you know, we let's put it that way.
Chat, you know what it is. In a moment, we're going to be asking you the very important questions about this match, and of course, we're going to be asking Andrew as well. But before we get to Andrew, start dropping those in chat. For the Galaxy to win this match, they have to ... That's for the Galaxy to win this match, they have to ... And we are going to be getting Andrew's reaction or answer here, but on the Red Bull version of this. Ananda, you have some stats here before we get to predictions?
Yeah, just to see, you know, from a underlying stats perspective, kind of what should we expect from this version of the Red Bulls team? And I mean, it's interesting to hear though, Andrew, say that Sandro Schwartz is kind of adapting his style a little bit away from the normal high pressing, high action, high intensity, sort of the Red Bull mantra of how they play football. But I'm just looking at the bottom row there with the defensive stats. They're still a very good defensive team, and they still have that DNA, Rob. They number one in successful tackles per match at 12.5, leading the league, and possessions won final third per match. They still win the ball high up the pitch, 5.5. That's fourth best in the league, up there with the likes of Philadelphia and San Jose. So even though they're trying to adapt their game model, it looks like the DNA is still very much there, at least from an underlying stats perspective. Again, very good defensive team, even XG conceded, top third in the league there at 14.5, and they've only conceded 12 goals this season, so they've kind of overperformed in that stat there. Offensively, again, don't let the offensive stats fool you too much, because I think they've got enough quality in the final third. And Rob, we make enough mistakes as a team to sort of gift and sort of to gift, like, the likes of Red Bull, who underlying stats wise, it looks like, they don't generate as much offense, maybe. And maybe that's by design. So maybe we'll get an Andrew's thought on that, but expected goals, only 14.3. But I believe you guys have scored 12 goals. So yeah, underperformed by just 2 goals. Maybe the conversion rate isn't there, but I did look this up, even though you guys are, 4 shots on target per match. That's sort of middle of the pack. Goal conversion is a lot better than Galaxy, Rob. 10.1% goal conversion this year, compared to the Galaxy 6. Again, goal conversion, that's been a huge problem for us. We just can't convert any of our chances when we get in front of net. And again, sort of middle of the pack there with 27 big chances. But again, I wouldn't let those offensive stats fool you, because this team, again, if you don't, and we saw Austin, right? Yes, they only scored a goal on us, and that was sort of a tight game. I don't want to get to my predictions too much, but I feel like that cagey sort of match, I feel like maybe is in the cards. But I would say that maybe, and Andrew can agree to disagree with me, but they are a very good defensive team. So for a team like us, Rob, that generates to finish our chances, our chance creation's been pretty good recently. We've had a lot of big chances in the last 2 to 3 games ever since really that later parts of that Austin game, but for sure against Portland, we had 5 big chances that game. So I think the chance creation is there, but we just can't tuck it away in the back of the net.
Andrew, we've already spoken about some of the big guns for New York, Forsberg, Choupo-Moting. You've talked about Omar Valencia's emergence with the 4 assists, and just the kind of that breath of fresh air that Mohamed Sofo's brought. Who's the X factor though? These are the players that everybody expects that will step up for New York. Who's that underrated X factor that needs to step up and be on for New York to win this match?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and it's one that's tough to answer without knowing who some of these lockdown players are. But I'm gonna stick with my guy. It's gonna be Mohamed Sofo. I can't imagine after the couple of games that he's put out. I think he scored in 3 in his last 2, so including the Open Cup. I think he got the goal against Miami, and it was again just a he creates his own luck, right? And I think that he is going to have to be the difference maker, because he opens up everything else for the Choupo-Motings and for the Emil Forsbergs, right? With his speed and with his tenacity, people are worried about him, and they, even if it's just half a second, Choupo-Moting and Forsberg will use that distraction, if you will, to go do something else and find a new lane to attack through. And that to me is going to run through Mohamed Sofo. So that's a guy I'm keeping an eye on, and one who I think needs to continue his form if Red Bull want a chance to be really, really solid in this game.
You know what time it is. It is time for fill in the blank, Andrew. So you heard the Galaxy version, but now it's time for the New York Red Bull version. For the Red Bulls to win this match, they have to.
How do I want to phrase it without going too deep, but we have to figure out the final product, right? So you pulled up those stats, and the stats were really good. And one of the things that I really think about is the fact that because we're so poor in that final moment is the reason why we're so good in moving the ball high up the field, is because we've got all these numbers committed. but we can't figure it out. So we just step up and win it again, step up and win it again. It's not as much a part of our identity almost as it is a part of our misfortune, for lack of a better term. But we have to figure it out. So, my pops and I, we text each other all the time about the games, and it's usually the same thing. Clueless going forward. We don't have any idea or identity about how we attack without Lewis Morgan. It's very much hit and hope at times, and it's very much, okay, we finally have now possessed it through. Now what do we do, right? There's no real identity of, okay, we're going to find the high target, lay it off and play it in behind, or we're going to find the high target, lay it off and get it out to a wide player, right? There's no true identity, at least in my opinion, that we can stick to and say, okay, this is how we know we're going to attack. So they need to figure that out if they want to win this game. They have to have a commitment to say, okay, we need to go through this pattern and finish the ball. We got to finish, right?
Sounds eerily similar, Ananda. For the Galaxy to win this match, they have to ... We have the commercial underground saying they have to concede possession.
Ooh.
The one and only.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the burden of possession. We all talk about it. The one and only says for the Galaxy to win, they need to score. Ay, Dios mío. God willing. They also need to better integrate as a team. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a couple of separate pieces at times. They've gotten a lot better at that. But yeah,
what about you? What about you, man? Is it just as simple as they need to score, or your favorite word? I was gonna guess yours would be they need to execute.
Oh man,
or is it more, or is it deeper than that now? We're getting to deep cuts now.
Yeah, it is. It is getting into deep cuts. It's really just like now we're into the philosophical. I mean, we've spoken at length about the preparation, tactics, mentality. So we're gonna keep it on a totally different spiritual plane here, and they just need to have that belief within themselves. We I don't know if it was today that we mentioned that when you get stuck into something and you're losing, you get that like feeling of losing
stench.
and,
Yesterday,
stench,
or the last pod, the stench of losing,
the stench of losing, right. So you get used to that, right? So I think that's kind of what they're mired in, like they're just they haven't been able to shake the funk, just get out of it. But I think once they do, you mentioned it, the floodgates will burst. I mean, Greg was asked about it. Do you think that when the first win comes, or like when the goals come, the floodgates will open? He answered in the positive, and so I mean, it just for them to get a win, they just need to go about their business. I mean, I said it last pod, they've been unlucky a lot of the time. I mean, they deserved to get points in a couple of these matches and just didn't. The world and life conspired, and Chris Penso conspired to just make sure that it didn't happen, right? So just keep that belief, and go about your business in the most professional way. I mean, it's going to come.
Yeah. Oh, conceding possession. That's interesting. I don't think Vanney's too much of an idealist, I think, to do that. I don't think he's going to do that. I would say that maybe if we had the two wingers, but to concede possession, you got to have a threat on the counter. And unfortunately, we don't have speed on the wings anymore if both of our BP wingers are injured, right? So that's going to go. But I'll answer that in a second, but because I know it's pretty late for Andrew. Rob, why don't we have Andrew? Well, I'll go through the betting odds. So let's see if it changes Andrew's mind at all about anything, and then we'll have his prediction and we'll get him on out of here and we'll wrap up the show. So let me go through the betting odds really quick. Of course, brought to you by myself and Dr. Raquinho, as Robert
Dr. Raquinho.
Betting odds right now. So it's at a minus 120 for the Red Bull. That's 55% win probability, plus 300. So 3-1 for your return on your placed bet. That is a 25% chance of the Galaxy winning. Draws at a plus 265, so not bad win percentage or payout percentage there as well. And I could totally see that happening again. I don't want to get too deep in my prediction. Just really quick, because these teams don't play a lot, and I usually bring up the head-to-head stats, but in this case I don't think it matters. I think more sort of this season's form matters more. So you see some of those streaks there. I want to just really call out no clean sheet Galaxy in 6, over 2.5 goals. Red Bull 7 out of 9, 7 out of the last 9, under 2.5 goals. Galaxy 5 out of 7. Again, we struggled to score, but interesting. So all the games that Red Bulls played, both teams to score, they've that's been hit on 7 out of the last 9 times. So yeah, just a couple of interesting sort of streaks or little fun facts heading into this match. So we can get Andrew out of here because I know it's pretty late for him. Let's. This is receipts time, Andrew. This is the favorite part of our show
okay.
where we bring up receipts.
Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So I will tell you a couple of things. First, we do predictions for every game, Connor and I am only down $250 this year. All right. So
oh man,
I am
nothing.
Wow.
That's not so. I'm chilling. Red Bull solid at home, defensively strong against a what seems to be attacking deficient LA team. We are also the Robin Hood of MLS. We take from the rich and we give to the poor, right? We gave New England their first win when they didn't score in like 4 games. Like, yeah, here, go ahead, beat us here. And now they're on a win streak. We let Montreal play decent. DC was in there as well. I mean, we are just not great against teams that we should be beating. However, I'm gonna give it to one Red Bull. I think the win in Colorado is gonna help us out, and I think that we are. I think with the injuries that LA has, it's going to give us the best chance to be successful. So I'm going to go 2-1 Red Bull at home, and cross my fingers and hope, I guess.
Y'all heard him. Andrew says it's a 2-1 New York Red Bulls win. I hope he is wrong. Let's just be real. You said Red Bulls is the Robin Hood of MLS. See, you got to keep the trend, and the Galaxy need it. I mean, if there's anybody down on their luck and more destitute, it's the Galaxy. So, go ahead and talk to your boys over there and let them know. 3 points for LA. But yeah, we want to say thank you to Andrew for coming on. We definitely appreciate it. Really quick before you get out of here, tell us one more time where we can find you and where we can find the pod.
Yes, yeah. So first off, thanks so much for being here, or having me here. Sorry, 1 a.m. Thanks so much for having me here. I really enjoyed this. I will. I listen. I will stay up at all hours of the night to talk Red Bull football. So, you no problems from me. Thanks so much for having me. If anybody is new here and wants to come check us out, we are the Designated Players in MLS podcast. We do all sorts of MLS general conversations. So, as you can see, I support Red Bull, but we cover it all. So we are on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Just search our name, you'll find us, as well as anywhere you get your podcast. We do MLS news, so more current event stuff, predictions, and then of course MLS history, as we spoke about earlier. But guys, thanks so much for having me again. I really enjoyed this chat, and I know you guys are both heading out there. Have a safe trip, get there, and enjoy it. Really enjoy it. I hope you have a great time.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming on.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Hopefully we see each other again. Open invite. Come back whenever you'd like. We'll be seeing you soon. Thank you so much. Cheers, mate.
Thanks,
man.
man.
Y'all.
Cheers. Bye.
Have a good one. Good night.
Man, I love our guests, man. They just are good peeps, man, and super informative. You know what? It's evident this. Just like the Galaxy, Red Bulls is a different team than they were just 5 months ago. So, credit to Andrew for being here and breaking down how everything looks in New York at the moment. A couple of announcements, and then we're going to get on out of here as well. For those Rich Galaxy fans looking for more merch, Live Breathe Football has a collaboration with Dick's Sporting Goods at the moment. There is a new black community kit retro polo that's pretty fire. Digging this one, Ananda. This one goes for $59. There are some warm-ups and shorts as well that are a part of this line. The warm-ups are $79 and the shorts are $55 here. And we also have a jacket. The jacket goes for $119, and the t-shirt pictured here goes for $49. Shirt's kind of like, but the jacket, it's pretty fire. Definitely gonna say that the jacket's pretty fire. The retro polo is pretty fire as well. Shout out to Live Breathe Football, who are doing amazing work with the merch as usual. VCFC will play LAFC 2 and El Traficito next Friday, May 9th. At time of publication here with this pod, that is in 2 days here, May 9th, Friday. That'll be at the Willy Roll at 7 p.m. After 8 games played, they are one of 4 teams tied for first place on 15 points. They are 8-5-3 on the year. It's good to see that they are doing well, Ananda, because there's got to be some sunshine in Galaxy Land somewhere. And then, of course, we'll end here with JP Bobblehead Night on May 31st versus RSL. He might not be there, but we know that his bobblehead will be there for Star Wars Night, May 31st against RSL. And with that, we will bring it to predictions, and then we'll get on out of here.
Yep.
You thought I forgot, huh?
I thought you forgot, but anyways,
and I went for half time, so that's you.
Well, I let you do for the LA Galaxy to win. They need to, but I'll roll it into my prediction. So I will give you my prediction. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's got sort of Borefest written all over it. It's two teams that, I mean, obviously, more so us than the Red Bull struggle to score. And look, I think what's going to be interesting about this game is how Vanney approaches it, especially with the lack of our DP wingers. Again, I thought that point about the concede possession is interesting. I wouldn't have minded that, but again, you need speed. You need speed on the wings. You need speed on the counter, and without those two guys, those are our two speediest guys, because Diego Fagundes and Marco Reus ain't going to do that for you, right? They're not those types of players. They're not sort of that. They don't have that dynamic speed, especially at this point in their careers. So, what does Vanney do? And this is what I was trying to say earlier. I think, Rob, what he might do, maybe not at the start, but maybe at some point in the game, I would not rule him out, putting us in a back three. And the reason why is not so much for the defense, but is to chance create from the wing positions, from the wide positions. Again, our best chance creators, quote unquote, our best playmakers from the wide positions are not going to be there, right? JP and Gabby Pec are out. So what do you do? So maybe what you do is you sort of you solve that by putting a guy like Julian Aude, a guy like Mo Cuevas out in the wings, and you play that, you play from that wing, you chance create from those wing positions, you create those overloads and have Julian Aude and Mo Cuevas join the attack. We know both of them have very good deliveries, and maybe, like I said, you play two strikers up top. You have two targets now instead of one, because Christian Ramirez, poor guy, he's bereft of service, right? The guy's in the box, but he doesn't get the ball knocked into him. So maybe you have a Nasi or a Miguel Berry, someone to partner Christian Ramirez up there, and then you have Marco Reus at the number 10 position, or Diego pulling the strings with maybe a Cerrillo or Sanabria, just to protect, again, that back three, or protect against the transition like we know that Red Bulls likes to do. So, Rob, I wouldn't mind seeing that at some point in the game. Will Greg go that from the very beginning? Not sure. He might be forced into it, but we'll see. But in terms of going back to the predictions, I still see, despite maybe some of those tactical things that Greg might pull in there, I still see this as a low-scoring game. Head pick probably says like a 1-0 loss, something like that. Head pick is probably a tie, either a 0-0 or a 1-1, something like that. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm calling a tie. The injuries are going to hit the Galaxy, but more than the injuries, it's going to be an unfamiliar setup with again, players that haven't been playing with each other, that aren't used to playing with each other. So even if you do bring Cuevas and Aude on, they haven't been in that starting lineup, so there's going to be a little bit of a disconnect. However slight it may be, it'll still be there, and I just don't think they're going to be able to get over the injuries, plus the perhaps a different system, then the travel. I'm thinking best case scenario is a tie, so I'm calling combo heart and head to pick a 1-1 tie. So
yeah, that's pretty. That's more optimistic than me though. I'm predicting a loss, but yeah. I mean, going back to this kind of goes to my what the Galaxy need to do. I feel like especially with these young players stepping in. I was just gonna say just in general this goes to like your vibes thing earlier, which is the Galaxy just need to stop feeling sorry for themselves and pick themselves up and play without fear. Like it's maybe this is like a philosophical thing, but especially with the young kids coming in, you got a chance to prove yourselves, especially if he gives playing time to Sanabria, to Nasi, to Mocuevas, who's been out for a while, Julian Aude, right, who's a U22. Remember, Rob, these are U22s, and you're banking on these guys to be potential, DP players like Dejan Jovic, right? We saw his progression throughout the years. So I'm hoping that Greg, number one, gives him the shot at some point in this game, hopefully from the beginning. And for these kids to just say, F it, and live in the moment and not be scared, show personality, do what you do, Mocuevas, hit those beautiful whip balls in to Christian Ramirez and to your targets, and hopefully we get something off of that, right? So again, to me right now, there's not much to lose. So put all your chips on the table and just see what works, man. I think we can't go anywhere. We have no other choice. We have no other fallback option. We don't have any of our DPs playing in this game, Rob. So what do you do, right? And I feel like at this point, nothing left to lose. Just throw your cards out there, and hopefully Greg is tactically flexible enough to do that.
Well, nothing to add really. I mean, you said it. Play without fear. Play free. Next on La Cuna Galaxiana on Monday, May 12th, we bring you our Galaxy versus New York Red Bull reaction / Philly Union preview and everything you need to know in the lead up to that midweek match. And then on Thursday, May 15th, we'll have a match reaction to the Philly Union match and also an El Tráfico preview for the year's first renewal of hostilities between both LA teams on Sunday, May 18th. So stick with us, guys. We have a couple of shows to go before 200, and we have something very, very awesome planned for you guys. So we'll see you guys on Monday, May 12th. No matter what happens, no matter whether it's a loss and the Galaxy are still looking for that win, or whether we're celebrating a win for the first time this year, you'll see us on Monday, May 12th. Thanks so much for being with us. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, tell your loved ones about this humble little pod, and thank you once again to our special guest, Andrew, and we'll see you soon. Only one thing left to say: LA strong, vamos campeones, and G's up. Pew.